Welcome back, everyone, to Blue Collar Startup. I am your co-host, Mike Nelson, here with founder, visionary, Derek Foster. What's up, Derek?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm doing all right, yeah.
Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I got to play in compost all weekend on my farm. I'm so hot to trot right now about regenerative farming. So I had the tractor out and was building manure piles and scooping piles and turning compost piles and planting my orchard that I plan on planting in the spring. And
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. And I got to hang out with the little dude, so it was a good weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Good. I got dragged into some family pictures yesterday.
Ooh.
At the Vischer Ferry Preserve. So
Very nice. That sounds...
it was good.
Yeah.
And I was telling Luke, I drove by one of their new developments over there.
Oh.
Beautiful, right off exit 8. Yeah.
Very nice. That's a good segue into we are here with Luke Michaels from Michaels Group. Welcome.
Thanks you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Great you guys are doing this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. We are great. Aren't we, Derek?
Most
and
days.
we're humble about it. No, we kind of started talking about it, but the point of all this really is not so that we can be super rich podcasters, but mainly so we can just kind of help support the trades, get the word out there. Really excited to hear your story, third generation, which is super impressive. Most people don't even make it first generation, so being able to go 3 is pretty impressive.
Well, that's not all me. That goes to my grandfather, my dad, and uncle.
Yeah.
But it's been in our family since 1950s. It has been, when you look back at the history of it, it's changed so much. Not just the people, but the projects, the product, the amount of units. It's gone up and down, but it's kind of just worked with the times and changes and as needed. So it's definitely something to be proud of. It's third generation. At the same time, I'm extremely lucky to even have that avenue.
Yeah.
Just to be able to be a part of a family that did that, and obviously they've done a lot of great stuff, and I've just been lucky to be able to try and fill some shoes.
I mean, I smell a documentary. That's
Yeah.
I just think there's such a cool story behind business. But third generation, man, I just think that's great.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
can you tell us a little bit about the backstory of the Michaels Group? How did it come to be?
Yeah.
And got to where it is today?
Yeah. So it's a story where it started of my grandfather, where he was in his 20s and he had his own landscaping company, and he did a ton of landscaping work for almost like all of Glenmont, Albany area down to Bethlehem, and during the winter needed some work to keep his guys busy, and he started by building one house. And sure enough, that turned into a couple houses the next year. And then in turn, he got into developing sites and full-on home building. So that's kind of how he got started in the industry. His name was James Michaels, and my grandmother was a big part of it as well, Marion Michaels. She was right there at his side the whole time. So the two of them kind of created this home building company, and really changed the way a lot of development happened in the area with regards to product and lifestyle and all those things. And they had a passion for it, and they obviously, started a great thing. My father and uncle then got involved. They got involved in the 1980s, and they sure enough took it over from my grandfather. And at that time in the 80s, the company, as I said, it was just, the history of it's up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
They were doing like 400 houses a year, which is, and there's no one doing that around here at this point. I mean, maybe some apartment guys are doing, that many units a year, but, with regards to home building, 400 houses a year, it was a machine,
It would have to be.
Yeah, it really was. So they worked through that, and, over the years as they kind of wanted to, have a little bit of, more of a lifestyle themselves rather than just working themselves to the bone every day and, dealing with middle management and all those things. They kind of, limited the company and brought it down to probably about, between 50 to 100 houses a year was really their sweet spot. So that's kind of what they worked on through, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then in 2014, myself and Eric Wilson, who's my business partner, bought out my father and uncle in 2014. So
No kidding.
and now it's the two of us, and our number right now is right about 50 houses a year. So like I said, it's a far cry from what it was, but you know what, 50 works for us.
It's a house a week.
Yeah,
It's a house a week.
It's a house a week. You're right, and and to hit that number, it's we're working for it every day. It's we got a small group, very efficient. 50 houses a year, and we have 9 employees. And
wow.
Then myself and my partner, we're both still heavily involved, so it's 11 of us. But there's a lot of work to be done with a small group. So
for a house a week, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, and it works. It's a good number. So,
and I just got to say too, I love, when you're talking about your grandfather, I just love I needed to keep my guys working in the winter, so I got to do. I like the things that happen because you have a problem in your business is just amazing
to me. It was pivoting before COVID.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, that's part of it. It's problem solving. He had a problem, he solved it, and sure enough, it turned into an opportunity.
Because he would let his guys go in the winter, and he wouldn't get them all back, and he was losing good guys, and it was like, how do I solve this problem? Yeah. It's just every time I hear stories about that, I just love it.
That generation, there's zero excuses. They just found a way to got it done.
Exactly.
It didn't matter what it.
Well, they weren't whining about stuff.
No.
I had a moment this weekend, actually, a whiny moment. I don't have them very often, but I was like this weekend. I was just like yesterday, in fact, thinking about Monday. I was like, oh, God.
Come on.
I did. I only had it for like 5 minutes, and then I pulled my skirt up.
Here's words to live by.
Okay.
Don't ever let Monday ruin your Sunday.
This is a true story.
Right?
Yeah.
It's great advice.
It is great advice. And I only let it for 5 minutes for the record. But it was...
I had a story myself of, my 8-year-old son had a whiny moment yesterday. We were raking leaves in the backyard. I'm just, trying to get the kids to, help out a little bit. And, he's just, complaining the whole time. And I'm like, listen, bud, what are you going to do when you have an actual job one day? What are you going to do? Like, you're going to whine and cry the whole time? He goes, no. I'm just going to sit there. I'm like, okay, there we go.
That's called quiet quitting now, isn't it?
There you go.
That's a thing now, apparently, according to Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I actually had a mantra with my kids. So I've got 4 kids. 3 of them are older. My youngest is 3, and the next kid is 12. And the 12 and 14 and 17-year-old, if you said to them, what do whiners and criers get? They would all answer nothing. Because they used, when they were kids, they would start whining, I'm like, whiners and criers get nothing. And then the mantra became, what do whiners and criers get? Nothing. And what are you doing? Whining. So what are you going to get? Nothing. Like every time. It was freaking hilarious, man. It still cracks me up.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I was whining, crying. Sorry. A little tangent about whining, but there's no room for it.
No, it's a big topic in today's world, But
it comes back to that work ethic stuff, discipline and sometimes you just got to pull yourself off the floor, even though you don't want to do it, and freaking go to work, man.
Yep, that's right.
So
when you were, I guess my next question, when you were growing up, did you always know, and I guess the same goes for your father, when he was growing up, did you guys always know that you were going to be a part of the business and want to be involved?
Yeah, I guess the short answer is no, we didn't, know to be or have to be or anything like that. For instance, my sister, she works out for an internet marketing company in Boston. My brother's a golf pro down in Pennsylvania. And, they never really had the passion for it, I guess. A lot of times I look at them, I'm like, boy, you guys were the smart ones getting out, But no, it was an opportunity, It was an opportunity, that... I know I knew it wasn't a road that I had to go down, but I graduated college in 2005, and the housing market was just on fire. And I moved down to Fort Myers, Florida, and I just went down there, and I actually was looking for a job with a home builder, and I got a job the week I was down there. I mean, they were so desperate for people. Wow. That I got a job right when I got down there. It was a great job. It was for a national builder named Kimball Hill Homes. And, there was there was such an opportunity there, and I got to learn a whole lot from this national builder down there, that it just kind of made sense. But when I moved down there, I had a college degree, but I also had just a speck of experience in construction. Just working with the family, since middle school, summer job, working for the company, and then doing some other construction jobs throughout college. So just that little bit of speck of experience, I was able to get a job and a great opportunity. So, I guess to answer the question, did I have to get involved in the family business? No, but I think there probably was a little bit of pressure to do it when you see your grandfather start it, then your father does it. It's like, all right, there's a little pressure there to do the same and just keep the company name going. You'd hate to not do it or not even take the opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. It was a great opportunity. Why I would be foolish not to at least try.
Do you feel any pressure about screwing it up?
Oh yeah.
Like I would imagine that would be the worst thing for me. When I'd be sitting there going like, I'm third generation, man. If I mess this up, who wants to be the generation that messes it up?
Yeah, and if you look and everyone says it's always the third generation that messes it up, that's always the thing. And I think I had a little bit of that like when I was getting into it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Now that I'm in it and I live it and breathe it and I have confidence in it and confidence what I do. If it did fall apart, it would happen. It is what it is. Would it be anything of my doing? Possibly. I don't know. It could be something like, God forbid it wasn't, but something like COVID shuts it down.
Yeah.
That could happen. Anything can happen. So I don't really think about it much anymore. I don't fear that. Just do my thing. Have confidence what I do. And, as long as I know if I'm working hard and trying to do the right things, then I think we'll be all right.
So I have to imagine, so your father and uncle were doing 400 houses a year.
Yep.
They brought it down to, you said 50 to 100?
Yeah, I think that was like their sweet spot,
And higher end? Did they when they went down to a few, or did they just say, hey, we're just going to shrink it down? I mean, I can't imagine how many people they had doing 400 houses a year.
Hundreds of employees.
Yeah.
It was, I wouldn't say higher end. It was, we're still, track housing builders, if you will.
Yeah.
We're doing communities and offering about 10 to 12 floor plans. And even then and now, we try to offer to the masses, if you will. We want to have a product that everybody can come and get. And if you want to take it high end and you want to customize it to be high end, we can do that. But at the same time, we want to market to as many people as possible. So I think at the same time, they were doing a little bit of that. It was more so to get to that level. It was just about a quality of life, just getting to a number that they could reasonably manage, have confidence in what they're doing. So I think that was more the reason for that.
And I'm, curious as far as doing 50, a home a week.
Yep.
Do processes come into play? I mean, what are you guys very processed on what you do, or is your team just so cohesive you don't even need it? You're just like, we do this in our sleep.
Yeah, I wish that was the case, but no, it's very reliant on processes.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a really good process for 50 homes a year. 2 years ago, peak COVID, sales were going haywire.
Mm-hmm.
We sold like 76 houses in a year. So we had the same people, the same processes for the next 2 years of building, and our process didn't work for 76 houses.
Right.
So we definitely had some growing pains with that. Not really growing pains, just pains.
Yeah.
And we had to change some of our processes for that, just to, up the level of communication to the buyers, up the level of communication to subcontractors, suppliers, kind of just being, hypersensitive to everything. And I think we did a good job. We certainly failed in a lot of places, but we definitely have learned a lot of lessons from the past couple of years, no doubt about it. So
lessons.
Yep.
There's lots of them.
There are.
Well, you get outside of your comfort zone. 50 houses, your sweet spot, the comfort zone, and you have to adjust things.
Yeah, I mean, we went on like a hiring spree for it felt like 2 years of just going through, just bodies to help us get through it, and they just weren't to the level we needed.
Yeah.
It was challenging, really challenging, but we got through it. We still are to some degree. We're still working on some stuff that's been delayed, and it's been challenging, but we learned a whole lot from it for sure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you must have really felt it the last 8 years, 6 years, 7 years. I mean, you've been in business for 10.
Yeah.
But I mean, climbing those stairs, man, like every time you gotta, go up an employee level.
Every time you think you have it figured out, reality smacks you in the face. But you keep moving through it, and that's what creates, opportunities for people around you as well.
Yeah.
People to step up and grow as well. So.
Gotta love business, man. You gotta love growing a business or owning a business.
It's tiring, I'm sure you get tired after a while.
That was my 5 minutes of whining yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to.
You just keep going.
Yeah.
Well, Luke said it perfectly. As long as you work hard and you put the effort in, you don't fail. You got to keep things moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keep your head down. Keep working at it, and that's the thing. You keep your head down. Stay in your lane. Do what you know you're supposed to do. The benefits will be there. It's not going to be there tomorrow. It won't be there next week. It won't be there next month. But the long game, it'll all work out. Yeah,
we like to say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
That's right.
So you went to college, Luke, and what did you study while you were in college?
Economics.
Okay.
Yeah. It was good. I enjoyed economics, and when I was there, at school, that opened some, other, I wouldn't say doors, I'd say windows, just to, see some other opportunities that could have been out there. And it was good. The college education, like when I went to Florida, I definitely wouldn't have got that job that I got if I didn't have a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wouldn't have got it only with a college degree. Mm-hmm. So when I look back, I'm glad I had a little bit of construction experience and certainly a college education to get on that, because it was a great job right out of college. I was making like $50,000 a year, overseeing all the land development for the builder in Southwest Florida. I mean, it was great. It's a good opportunity.
I'd say Southwest Florida for a 20-something-year-old sounds rough.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, land development and learning all. I mean,
it was great. It was a great opportunity. I learned a whole lot down there, and in a lot of ways, like I said, in 2005, the market was on fire. I would go to work on like a Saturday just to drive through the site, and there would be people sleeping in their cars all night to get into the sales office the next day to buy a house. I mean, it was just, it was even more on fire than what we just went through. It was nuts. And sure enough, that whole thing collapsed. 2007, 2008, it all came about, and that division of Kimball Hill Homes that we were with pretty much shut down after that. And they had locations all over the country: Chicago, Las Vegas, Texas, Florida. They were all over, and they were the largest privately held builder, which it was a huge company, but being privately held was probably the downfall there. So
because all the responsibility rested in one pair of hands.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But it was still a great experience. I mean, they operated like a national builder, so that was great to see.
What do you think, as you've been for how long now? When did you buy the business?
2014.
2014? Yep. So 8 years.
Yep.
I'm not very good with math.
You got it.
I got it? All right. Looking for my phone so I can grab my calculator. So 8 years. What do you think the biggest challenge is that you've seen along the way?
Well, there's certainly a number of them, but just in the industry, or just with a company, owning the business. I mean,
I'd say industry wise. Let's look at it that way. Industry
wise, for what we do here, a lot of challenges for a home builder right now in this location is there's not really a whole lot of land developers around here. And by that, I mean, there's no one that's coming through and putting in roads and developing lots and just selling vacant lots to builders. There are a couple, but there's not a whole lot that are doing that. And that, that approval process, the development process of land in this area is very challenging. A lot of the builders do all of it themselves because we have to. We need the lots to build new houses. So we're doing that. Whereas in a lot of other parts of the country, those are land developers. They are just concentrating on putting in roads, getting improved projects, and selling vacant lots to builders. And then the home building companies are just concentrating on home building. So that's a little bit of a challenge around here because it's very tough to develop property in New York. I think there's a lot of challenges that we're faced with here that you're not faced with in other parts of the country. But it is what it is, and we've all adapted to it. Every builder's able to do it. We're all able to do it. So that's one of the challenges as far as it's scouting that property that's gonna make for a profitable development. On the home building side, there are things that we're going to talk about today as far as skilled labor. That's a challenge, and I think one of those things that we found for the past couple of years, being selling 76 houses a year and then trying to build them, we struggled to be able to have the talent pool to finish those projects the way we want them and the quality we want them built. And we had to reach out to some new contractors and new talent pools to be able to put it together. And there were new relationships, a lot of those things we struggled with, but there's only, so many good contractors in this area that everyone wants to use, and a lot of builders are using the same ones.
Right.
So we're all competing for these same guys.
Who's that guy? He must be like the happiest man in the capital region.
Exactly.
Or woman for that matter.
They're busy, and they're doing great right now. They've been super busy the last few years. Everyone's calling them. So that's where there is a challenge, for us to find those contractors who can help us keep up. I mean, we're doing 50 houses a year. There's a lot of other builders doing that, if not more. And so that's definitely a need. But there again, there's the opportunity. So that's, those are some of the, challenges that we face. There's been some different challenges that have been kind of short term from, COVID, but overall, big picture, those are some of the challenges that we face,
So what advice would you give to, a high school student or, somebody who's thinking about what they want to do? They're not really sure yet. Maybe college isn't for them. I guess, what would you say to them as the builder and seeing all this opportunity out there for young people to go out and learn a trade?
I mean, to learn a trade, well, I mean, there's so many opportunities in the construction industry. It's not just a trade, obviously, but I would think, the guys that I've seen, because there are some young guys, and there's good young quality guys doing it right now. And the one thing that they have is they work for themselves. That's one thing that I might tell someone. I would say, when you think about yourself in 20 years, do you want to be, you want to work for yourself one day? Because the trades would be one of the best avenues for that. There's maybe the least amount of barriers to work for yourself doing that. It's a trade that you can learn on your own. It's going to take time. But if you're 18 years old, 4, 5, 6 years being an apprentice of some kind, and then, doing side work on your own, all of a sudden you're getting enough capital to be able to do your own thing. I mean, that is a path, and I've seen that. So I guess I can talk to that a little bit because I've seen guys do it, and they're doing great right now. Again, they're working for multiple different builders, they're highly motivated. They've got rental properties. They're just, they're making connections in the construction industry. So, I would say that that's one thing that I would ask them is if you want to work for yourself one day, this is a great opportunity in the trades. That would be a good spot.
And are these like finished carpenters? Are they plumbers? I mean,
everything.
All of it, yeah.
All of them. Framers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, we work with a bunch of young guys, and they've come up through the ranks. They learned on their own. A lot of them, their parents were in it, similar to me. They are doing what they grew up when they know. So there's a tremendous opportunity for that, just being able to work for yourself. I think that would be a key selling point to someone who might be 18, If they don't, then there's still opportunity in the trades. We work with a lot of bigger companies that, it's probably not as likely that they're going to be, owning that company one day or working for themselves one day. I mean, these are, big companies that we work with, but for the most part, there's a lot of, guys and, working out of their house with their pickup truck, and they're doing great right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've talked to a few of them. And I know a few more that are in that situation.
Yeah.
They're just, like guys like Devin that came on episode 3, or just one man operation, does great work.
Yeah.
His work is its own testimonial. And
yeah, exactly.
So because of that, he's got no want for work.
Yeah.
I think he said he was like a year out or something like that, or like something ridiculous.
What does he do?
He's Cam and Gay Construction. He's
he does a little bit of everything. Kind of grew up in it. His father was a contractor, so similar to what you were saying. And he went into education and then got burnt out by that.
Yep.
And was like, well, there's an opportunity here. I might as well take it. He kind of saw the shift with COVID and the amount of opportunity out there. So he jumped in and it's paid off. He's booked out like a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's the way a lot of these guys are right now. There's a lot of work to be had right now. I kind of think about the last, couple years, and the last couple years I kind of feel bad for, those kids who got affected by COVID who were in like their junior and senior year of high school. Yeah. And I don't know why it resonated with me, but just maybe like if they're athletes or something and they couldn't, do their, senior year of sports, whatever the case is, I felt bad for them. And that's got to be tough on a lot of those young kids. I mean, these are, supposed to be some of the best days of your life, and, high school and college and all that stuff. And you had that taken away from you. So I feel bad for that generation, if you will. But at the same time, if they're out of school, whether it's high school or college, and in the last couple of years, maybe they didn't have work and or they were working from home or whatever it is, the opportunity was 2 years ago to start something, I mean, if there was ever an opportunity to, try to learn a new skill, boy, everybody was looking. Everybody needed help. We needed help.
Yeah.
So many people needed help. That was a great opportunity. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on and where the economy's heading, that might not be the case in the next couple of years. I mean,
you think that'll level out for the contractor side? Because we talk about that. Like, I mean, I'm only allowed to work on my barn, first of all.
Yeah.
Kristen will not let me touch anything in the house that she wants to look nice. Okay. So for a lot of the projects that we had going on that I wasn't allowed to touch, we couldn't find anybody. It was hard. Or my good friend Rick, who's a contractor, and he's always my first go-to because I trust him and I know that he does great work and he cares about everything he does. But he was in the same boat. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm like a year out. I can maybe sneak over here on a Sunday and help you, kind of deal. And he did come over and help us. But at the same time, it was like, and so I'm just like, man, is that gonna turn it where it's gonna go the other direction? The invisible hand's gonna push it over, or what?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's happening right now. I mean, we're pretty well positioned for next year, but my guess is we're not going to close 50 houses next year based on the next 6 to 9 months projected for sales. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we'll be there. And if that's the case, we're not going to be out looking for, the backup trimmer or the backup roofer, we're not going to be looking for those guys. Yeah. So I think that will happen. And it's unfortunate, but that's
the way the market moves, right?
That's where it moves. Yeah. That's how
Supply
they want it to
demand.
happen right now. Yep.
Ebbs and flows.
The other thing too about, if a young person was trying to, start out or get into the trades or something, at the very least, like this comes down to like the most primitive thing ever. You can get into the trades, and at the end of the day, when you're done with your job, done with work, maybe it's however long it takes, you can stand there and physically look at the work that just got done, at least have some sense of self-accomplishment,
Mm-hmm.
something to that effect, whether you're a roofer or you're trimming or whatever it is, at the end of the day, you can stand back and you can look at that physical work that just got done and have, some self-satisfaction with that. You know what I mean?
I do.
So that goes a long way. And I think that's somewhat of, some sort of, immediate result that everyone seems to be looking for these days. You can see that in your work. So I think that would go a long way, for people to see and realize and, actually see what they do. I think that would be good. But
Yeah, I agree with you. That's how I started out, was working construction, and I would get home and then go into working on my own business at night. And the other benefit of learning and being in the trade, you can, you start early in the morning and you're out midway through the afternoon, and if you want to hustle, you can go grind it out.
The old side hustle.
yeah.
So are you guys currently have, what type of opportunities are you seeing, whether it's within the Michaels Group or some of the subcontractors that you regularly work with? What opportunities are out there for some of these young guys?
Well, I would say just about every one of our subcontractors would welcome some help. And it doesn't need to be skilled right away. It just needs to be someone who's going to show up every day. Hopefully they have a license. That's like 50-50 these days. If guys have licenses to be able to get to the job.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
But if they could just, they show up every day, they're there a full day, they can get themselves to work, and they're a sponge, and they try to work at it, I think any one of our contractors would welcome that. I mean, it's tough to come by right now.
Well, it's funny hearing you say it that way too, just being a sponge and learning. It's almost like you get paid to go to school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the best of both worlds.
Right, exactly.
If you pay attention.
If you pay attention and you're, putting forth the effort, I think, any one of the subcontractors we work with would welcome that. From our standpoint, from a builder standpoint, like I said, those past couple of years where all that opportunity was, I said we went through like this hiring spree, and we hired a few people here and there. They didn't work out, and if there was someone that could get themselves to the job and be that sponge and continue to work hard, keep their head down, just keep working at it, there was opportunity there. So I guess that goes back to it is, it's work hard, be a sponge, keep trying, and it's there. I remember when I was, I must have been in like 8th grade. I was working for my father during the summer. And I guess this went all the way until I had my license. I would always get put in the truck with the labor. We always had a Michaels Group Homes laborer who was driving the rack truck, cleaning up the sites, and I would ride with him every day during the summer. And every summer it was a different guy. It was a different guy every time. But there was one guy we worked for. He actually he works at Bonaccio right now. His name was Paul Lambert, and I worked with him for a long time, and it started out just being in the rack truck with him, and sure enough, the next summer he was running jobs, and then he was running a different department at the company. Then he was doing all the sites, on the last day, and he just kind of worked his way up. He was a guy who started as the laborer, driving around that rack truck, but he had a great work ethic. I mean, I learned a lot from him just working with him every summer, and he kind of kept working his way up, and now, like I said, he's one of the head guys over at Bonaccio right now. So
building millions of dollars worth of buildings.
Yeah.
And running the jobs. We work with Paul. He's a good guy.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the opportunity. That's a guy who just had a great work ethic and kept his head down and kept working at it. So that's the same today. If we had someone like that, that's the same opportunity today. That's all it takes. I mean,
I think that's true of any industry at this point, really. Like, show up on time, be a professional, do your job, work hard, listen, pay attention, learn stuff. Then you get to do more stuff. That leads to more stuff. That leads to more stuff.
It's so rare right now. We would welcome that with open arms.
That's amazing.
It is so rare to find. I mean, if you ever found that, it's like guys, owners are going to latch onto that.
Yep.
In a heartbeat. They're going to latch onto someone who's showing up every day and putting forth the effort. No doubt.
I keep having that talk with my older kids. It's not working. I tell you, my daughter, so we were hiring for a social media person, and she's 17. She's senior in high school. And I was like, hey, and she had been making it like she was interested in that kind of stuff. And I was like, my love, we are hiring for a social media person. So, if you're interested, we can talk about it. And she just looks at me. She goes, yeah, I'll get back to you. Yeah. Like, all right, never mind. I rescind my offer. Oh man, what do you think the biggest mistake is that you've made in the last 8 years?
The biggest mistake. I mean, I don't know that I can chalk up one biggest mistake. I mean, I make mistakes all the time.
I got a lot of little ones.
Yeah, I got a ton of mistakes. I would say, like I said, we make mistakes all the time.
Or even like a pitfall to avoid. Just from if someone's listening and they're looking and they know of your company and they know what you and your father and grandfather have achieved in the last 72 years.
Yeah, I guess
1950, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was 1956, I think was the first year. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, however many years that is without my phone calculator. So, if like pitfalls or something to avoid, like what would you, say like, hey, like don't do this, guys. Like,
I think for me, it's kind of two things. Like sometimes, we have a great system in place, right? And we've got this great team and it's incredible. Sometimes I have a little bit of sense of guilt that, we're not growing and we're not going to different areas of the country and picking up this operation and doing it someplace else where we can be just as successful. But I have seen my grandfather and father and uncle do that in the past. So they tried operations in Tennessee, in Florida, in different parts of New York, and they just didn't work out as well, right? They didn't have the same level of management, focus, whatever the case was. And I don't want to say they failed, but they didn't go as to plan and they shut down operations.
Sure.
So in that sense, it's I guess it's just, stay focused on, what you have in front of you. I think that's, like I said, I have a level of guilt to some degree that we're not expanding because we have this great thing. It's like, it's almost like we could pick it up and bring it someplace else and be successful. But at the same time, I mean, I saw what my father and uncle went through when they were at 400. And I remember how my dad was, right? When they were running that many people and there were that many issues, problems, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And when they brought it down to a more manageable level, I saw a new guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was different. He's more relaxed. He's, more approachable. I mean, I don't know if those things were tied to each other at the time, but I remember a change at one point.
Yeah.
So for that sense, like when I think about myself and like I'll talk to my uncle about it sometimes, he'll be like, we should be doing more, we should be doing this. And he's like, Luke, you just, stick to what you can do best right now and bigger is not better. So I guess that would be, kind of one thing is, if you're going to grow, do it responsibly. Don't grow too fast. You don't want to get ahead of yourself by any means. And so I've kind of seen that over, just being a part of the family business. Mm-hmm. I haven't taken that step and failed myself. But, at the same time, there's been, certain projects or opportunities that, I've dove into that didn't pan out. And, whether it was a mistake or whatever, I'm okay with it because at least I took a chance at it. Took a chance at the project and okay, it didn't work out, at least we took a chance. But I'd say that's just, not growing too fast, not getting out, out of your lane. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't really take on any projects that we know we can't handle. We don't really get into too much commercial work. We don't get into a lot of apartment building. We are doing an apartment right now, but it's one that's manageable.
Sure.
So, I'd say just, for me, it's just, staying in your lane and not, burning people out with different projects and things like that, may not have the results that we're after.
I'm curious on the Tennessee and Florida. Was it, hey, I'd like to buy a second home in Florida, so let's move some operations down there, or
Oh.
Tennessee? Was it?
Yeah, that's interesting. Florida, yeah, it was. They had a second home there, yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's
the defeats the purpose of a vacation, I guess.
Yeah. You get down there, you're living there for a couple weeks. You're getting bored, so it's like, all right, I got to start up something down here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That relaxation shit is for the birds, man. I'm just laughing. I say that because, like, I know that I've heard those words come out of my mouth repeatedly about, I kind of would like to spend some time in Key West. Maybe we should, open a branch down there, or I might like a house out west. Like maybe we should get a Wyoming agency. I don't know, so it's funny.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts, Luke, with college and on college for people just coming out of high school?
So, I mean, for me, it was a little bit different. Obviously, I told you a little bit. I went to college. I got a job because of college and some experience. I guess I would think if you're gonna go to school, you really need to have a plan. And I think it's probably a good point. You're in school for 2 or 4 years. Whatever the case is, check in on that goal at the end of each year. And if your goal is to work for Wall Street or Homebuilding, whatever the industry is, check in on that goal at the end of each year. And if you're still working towards it, go for it. I mean, that's what it's there for. But but if your goal is something else, maybe your goal is to work for yourself one day, then cost benefit. Is college worth it? If I want to work for myself one day and I don't know what I want to do right now, is college worth it? I think that's just a question that we need to ask a 18-year-old. I think a lot of that falls on the parents. Because again, you're 18. You're still, you're not ready to make all those decisions. Mm-hmm. But set a goal and check in on it. And there's always the opportunity to do something different. I would say I'd say check in, make a goal before that, and then check in on it. I mean, college was great for me. It gave me a lot of opportunities. My wife was she was in school for 10 years. She's a psychologist right now. She needed to do it, and she's a good example. She kept working after that goal, and now she's doing great. So it all depends on what that goal is before you get there. I would not go to college if you don't have a goal coming out. If the goal is to get a job right out of college, then check in on that every year. Make sure you're making connections elsewhere to be able to do that. So
that's good advice.
I would really like to know what it's like living with a psychologist.
Oh,
I had nothing to do with the show, and I'm like, wait, I can't. How can I not ask this question?
It's funny. I get that all the time. It's actually not that bad because what my wife sees all day at work, she comes home and she sees me and she just breathes a sigh of relief.
Oh,
I'm halfway normal. I'm like a halfway normal person. So,
I wonder, does she recognize? Oh, he does that because of this and because of that. And
there's definitely times where I'll pick up on that. Like, oh, geez, I just talked myself in the corner on that one. No doubt.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Any interesting routines day to day, Luke, to keep yourself grounded and focused on what you have to accomplish?
Day to day, I don't know about that. I mean, I try to, like I said, I don't not trying to grow the company in something huge, Like I said, I want some sense of lifestyle, some peace of mind to some degree. Mm-hmm. I know, with our business, Eric and I both have, our 2 separate areas that we focus on within the business. And the industry changes so much that, there's new things happening every day. We're dealing with new sites, new towns, new materials, all those things that kind of keep us energized. Mm-hmm. They do keep us grounded to some degree because we're constantly just, working towards our goals within the company. Outside of that, I'm a big, book on tape guy. So, I'm always trying to, pick up a couple things here or there, as I'm, cruising around to my sites and everything. So those are always good to, check in and all that.
You listen to podcasts?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I might have a problem with podcasts.
Yeah.
I listen to too many podcasts.
Too many, yeah.
I think I've listened to like 50 hours of podcasts on regenerative farming in the last week.
Yeah.
Like,
But you're learning something. It's great.
All the
I mean,
time.
how great is that?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But it's like
awesome.
literally
It's
where
awesome.
this morning I had to like shut my phone off and like not like my brain is so fried on information from podcast because I always have something playing. So I'm just like, oh my, I need to like take a day off.
Yeah.
Like,
It's amazing that there's a podcast on that.
there are a few.
Yeah, that's
in
awesome.
fact, yeah.
That's
It's
great.
no-till farming and regenerative farming. That's
Interesting.
I'm geeking out. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it is. It's good stuff. It's the future, guys. We're losing topsoil. Just saying.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll go my whole sermon.
That's why I mulch my leaves into my lawn.
I got to tell you, I'm driving through my ex-wife's neighborhood, and there's all those leaf bags out in front of there because and it broke my heart every leaf bag. Because you should leave, if you're listening, folks, leave those damn leaves on your yard. It's good for the ground.
Yeah.
Just saying. I know you want to rake it. I know you want that lush lawn, but
Yeah, I was raking them all yesterday.
I know, man.
Can't
See,
stand
putting them in bags and getting carpet away. It's like the best food for your lawn that you've got going right there. So, anyway,
But didn't mean to cut you off. What do you
I'm
typically
sorry.
listen to?
It's what I do.
Podcast wise,
Yeah.
well, I listen to Joe Rogan, and then a friend of mine has. I mean, the podcast is more entertainment value for me, but obviously Rogan, and then a friend of mine has a podcast called Doughboys, and I went to college with him, and I listen to him pretty much every week it comes out. So
What is Doughboys about?
they review fast food joints.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so pure entertainment value, but it's hilarious.
Yes.
So it's Doughboys. Give him a shout out for it. So Mike Mitchell.
Check it out.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah.
add it to my 17
Yeah, there you go.
list of podcasts I listen to on an almost daily basis. That's ridiculous. I just lost where I was now, Derek. Rescue me. You got a question?
So I was going to ask you guys. So what's the goal of this podcast? I mean, who are we trying to get this in front of?
Yeah.
So we've had Dr. Tarina Parker from BOCES. She was on. We've had Jennifer Lawrence from the SEAT program, not the celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had Matt Perry from the Hudson Valley Auto Body Shop. So as we
Also
continue
not
to
the celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as we start building some content, we really want these programs to push the podcast to the students, to inspire, motivate, and get them to see that, what the potential they could reach if they just stay on the path. All of the stories that we've heard so far, there's a few things in common. Work hard, don't give up, and just be a good person. Do the right things.
Yeah.
And good things happen.
Yeah.
And, we've seen the same trend and, it just kind of happened over the course of 18 episodes. And hopefully that's going to reach some of these kids and, say, hey, I can do this too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think to try to inspire and, like, as Derek said, and empower young people, or really anyone at any age, that just to know that, like, there's a lot of money and opportunity, and it doesn't have to be about money if that's not your thing. There's a lot of opportunity and a lot of fulfilling work that can be done in the trades, and people, are just so hell-bent on technology and video games and everything else. It's like, man, there's a lot of millionaire plumbers out there, guys.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Go figure out how to change a wax seal on a toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll always have work.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that's going to be interesting. So the whole tech thing, I mean, layoffs, mass layoffs right now.
Oh, yeah.
Facebook, Amazon just laid off 10,000 people
Oh,
today.
yeah.
I mean,
Facebook, 11,000. Elon's getting ready to lay off how many more? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's so there's going to be more opportunity, So
it's been tech, like everything, all the opportunity's been so tech driven, and that's what's in the news. And, I think we'll start seeing a shift.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's new. It's sexy. It's, what people want to do. I get it.
yes, yeah.
I get it. But same time, there's a whole lot more opportunity out there in other areas that just doesn't maybe get the recognition that it deserves, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So and I hope that if this does get to students, I hope they know that there is so much opportunity out there, and it's maybe not glamorous, especially out of the gate. Especially out of the gate, you're working through the elements and the whole thing, and it's freezing cold and all those things, and it sucks, but you keep at it, you keep working at it. I mean, boy, there's so much opportunity. Like I said, I see some of these guys that have started up on their own, and they're doing great. I mean, I really admire them. I mean, like I said, they're into different aspects of the construction, and then they got rental opportunities. And it's funny, a lot of these guys, when they get, they're like, they all own their own house. They've all pretty much built their own house, and they're not builders, but they know one aspect of the trade, and they build the whole thing. And they're out there, and it's like this bargaining game.
Yeah.
They have so many connections within the industry. So, the guy who's the roofer, he's trading a roof to the electrician so he could come to his house, and like this whole barter game. It's
I have actually heard those conversations going on. It's hilarious.
It really is. Yeah. And that's the thing too. I mean, there's so many connections to be made, and
that's the other part of this too. Eventually once we have a network built up, and hopefully some of the students that see this will listen to a story and be inspired and reach out, and hey, they might end up working for one of you guys at some point. But also building that network to connect the different builders and people that we've had on the show to where, we can all trade resources and help solve the workforce development issue.
Yep.
So
that's a small problem.
We'll get there.
Locally, it's, I love this. Locally, I think there's a lot of opportunity locally, because around here, there's a whole lot of small businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not, I mean, there's some, national brands here. But like in my industry, there's no national builders here, right? So, there's a lot of just, local family builders. Mm-hmm. And if there's, a guy who's looking to get into this business, like I said, you show up, you work hard, you're going to get noticed. Like there's not that many guys out there. You're going to get noticed if you're working hard. That's all it takes.
Amazing. Simple formula. Work hard, get check.
Yeah. Have a license.
That's right. Yeah.
Have a driver's license, please.
Holy moly.
So if people want to get a hold of you, Luke, and the Michaels Group, how do they do that?
Probably our website's the best. It's michaelsgroup.com. If interested in building, obviously, we've got, all of our communities on there that we offer right now, a bunch of different floor plans that people can see, all our different designs and all that good stuff. And, team page with who we are, and it's probably a good spot to start.
Awesome.
Yeah. Perfect. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you for spending the time with us. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll have you back again soon.
Yeah, it'd be great. I love that you guys are doing this. It's really awesome.
Well,
and it's appreciative too. I mean, there's certainly a lot of people out there who, are thinking about this stuff. I think we talked about it earlier. Yeah. They're thinking about it, and some people are doing it. But the fact that you guys are actually sitting down, talking about it, and doing something about it, it says a lot. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, we need it. We need it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to find us on Instagram, even though I don't ever post, and Derek keeps telling me to post, and I keep not posting, but I will, I promise. You can find us on Instagram at bluecollarstartup.io, I think is what our handle is. That's how often I look at it. I have social media fatigue, for the record. Our website is is bluecollarstartup.io. You can find us there, and tune in next time. Don't forget to share the show. Send it to a friend. Thanks, everybody.